Hey everybody, welcome back. What a 24 to 48 hours this has been. It is a crazy house out there on social media, on Pulsechain. It is absolutely crazy. But one thing I'll give it, it's like a hornet's nest out there. It's really been shaken up. So crazy stuff. And as you guys know, when there's volatility, there's opportunity. I said that in the earlier live stream. It is crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, Pete, what do people have to do? They have to choose the goodies and they have to get out of the baddies or ignore the baddies in terms of tokens on the old Pulsechain. And I'm going to quote a famous quote there from Richard Hart himself. Don't chase pennies in front of freight trains. It's a goodie, an oldie, but a goodie. But we're going to look at another quote later on from Richard Hart. So pretty crazy there as well. Now, we know some of the big influences in the PDai teddy bear space, Tropa, are out there as well, talking about it all the time, like Somi, like Moon King, people like that. So pretty crazy place. Also the Atropa dev as well, James Maria out there doing live streams as well. So it's been pretty crazy. Now we've been in Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, the link is in the video description. We've been talking about this. Of course, it's a great place to get together, and you should join up and become part of our community. It is the links in the video description. Join up. Only $12.50 a month. Super good value. Get in there today. And if you want to join our strategy club as well, that is only $35 a month as well. So get in on that. All right, so let's have a quick look at some of the cool stuff. Get into the chat as well. We've got Unprotected Hex in the house. Been an interesting couple of days. Sure has. It's been pretty crazy. I know you've been all over it too. So let's get out into it without further ado. We got the DAI price here on Pulsechain. It is pretty crazy. And of course, it has just dipped below 1/10 of a penny. Went down all the way down to 0.008851. You'd be holding your breath at that level. And of course, now has bounced off back to 1/10 of a penny again. Previously, this is on the 15-minute chart. These are 15-minute candles. Previously, we'd been down at 0.00638. You'd definitely be holding your breath at that level. So it's been pretty ruthless here as well. So if we move to the hourly, you can kind of see the hourly formation there. Pretty reckless there. Had a little recovery. This is the old, what I call a Somi recovery here. Got all the way up to 0.3 of a penny. And now it's back down to 1/10 of a penny. So got to be careful out there. Volatility is opportunity. But it's also depends on which side you're on, right? If you're on the upward side, it's fantastic. If you're on the downside and you haven't sold, well, it's horrific, right? Horrific there. So you got to be careful with that. Now, obviously, if PDai is down, there's also others that are down, right? So we're going to go to the Pulsechain and have a look at the charts here before we get into all the different drama, all the different actions that are going on amongst influencers, founders, and all that. So let's have a quick look here as well. Now I'm going to zoom on this a little bit there. We might actually change view. Actually, view is not too bad, is it? We'll just increase the wrong view there. Let me jump over the right one, and we'll just pull that up. So we've got here at the moment, we've got DAI, as you can see, is up 190%. So this is not the real DAI. So this is a DAI on PumpTires. So the title of my video is that PumpTires, Pulse and PulseX incentive and Hex are ruling the roost. And of course, Richard has come out and affirmed that on his X posts. So it's pretty important. And of course, Richard Hart's been smashing DAI there with some further selling by the looks of it as well. So selling PDai into the good stuff like PulseX, right? So some big stuff happening there. And we can see that some of the PumpTires are taking the space. So where there's something's being destroyed, something's being created. And we can see here on PumpTires, this is the one that's migrated from PumpTires over to PulseX once it becomes king of the hill, as it were. And it has managed to, garner the attention of the market. So that has been rallying up as well, up 190% there as well. I'm not sure what's wrong with my chart here, but it's gone a bit awry. So the DAI Pulse there doing pretty well. We've also got Michi doing pretty well. All the top ones here are all PumpTire tokens, everything around a month here. We've got PumpTires itself is up 84%, Michi up 171%. Most wanted, of course, seems like money came into there. May very well have been Richard Hart that pumped that, and that went in big time. And we can see that it got pumped pretty big with volume. We saw pretty large, about almost $2 million of volume coming in there, up to 0.5 of a penny. So the volume today, $3.1 million on the most wanted. Of course, that is Richard Hart, aka Interpol, aka Red Notice. So pretty crazy stuff going there. Now that pumped pretty well. As you can see, it went from 2.5 cents all the way up to almost 8.7 cents there. It's currently at 5.2 cents at the moment. So that is the most wanted. So we've got the DAI doing some action there. And remember, there's only 1 billion tokens on these. So that's the positive. There's only 1 billion tokens in these, but the negative, of course, is there's quite a lot of large holders amongst that billion, right? So just be cautious out there. Speculative. We also got DAI that we talked about. That's obviously doing pretty well. I'm not sure what this DAI one up here it came up awry, but we'll have a look at this one. We've got the DAI. Just looking at the liquidity at 215. So we'll have a look at this. This is the PumpTires DAI, not the PDai, not the fork copy, but which is the one that's getting wrecked at the moment. But the actual PumpTires DAI, and it's actually doing pretty well here, up at 4/10 of a penny. And remember, there's only 1 billion of these. Once again, there are some big holders though too, so just take do due diligence. We also got Solana as well on PumpTires, USD Tether on PumpTires. Obviously, generally going to keep away from these, right? And then we've got best everything up 35%, dominance up 25%, and we've got Bitcoin as well. So dominance is the only one that's not a PumpTires here. There's I think pretty sure a Finvestor project and so on. Some of the others which are kind of weird that they're not up there are Elon and of course Trump as well. They may start rallying a bit later, but they're not up there as well in terms of the top. And some of the other ones may be the PumpTires version of Hex and Pulse and stuff like that. We may see that rally later on too. Any of the ones that have been around. So this one here is PumpTires Hex, and that's been around for a month. So that is up 5%. That might very well see that rally too. So we shall see what happens in that space. But basically, PumpTires now dominating trade as PDai is pretty much under pressure there, 1/10 of a penny. I think the last holdout seems to be Somi, and so every time the price goes down really low, the X returns to the upside always get bigger. So that's kind of where it is at the moment. So people are looking at PumpTires, and obviously people are looking at Richard Heart tokens as well. So let's bring in Richard Heart tokens. So where do you go when you got some of the biggest protocols like Teddy Bear, like PDai all going down, right? So let's actually reverse this chart and look at the worst of them. And we can see Teddy Bear at the moment is down 68%. So pretty crazy there. Tropa also down 60%. So we've seen Moon King talking about exiting out of here. We're going to look at those comments. We've seen a Tropa dev, James Maria, talking about resurrecting his ecosystem, potentially picking up Wrap Bitcoin as well, and reordering the liquidity pools for a Tropa. That's possibly what we will see from him. And that is up 58%. And apparently his $2 million or so has not gone over the bridge. So you could see some resurrection there with the Tropa, and potentially a beneficiary could be Wrap Bitcoin, right? We're going to talk about that. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. Like I said, if you haven't joined our strategy club, the link's in the video description. Only $35 a month. And if you want to join up to community member as well, there's only $12.50 a month to join up with the links in the video description there. Now, we've obviously got Pulse and PulseX at the moment. Even though they're going to be ruling the roost, they are down today, 15% on Pulse, to 11% on PulseX, and 16% on Inc. But once again, they will be the chosen ones there, as Richard Hart has indicated. So this is a dip that you can pick up at the moment on the Richard Hart ones. And let's scroll down to the bottom here, and we're going to look at some of the fork tokens. So these are the ones that you're going to be looking through. So by my account, PUSD, USDC, PDai, pretty much dead at the moment. Obviously, with the exploit, and we're going to look at a video of that exploit from the apparently alleged Vietnamese dumper there controlling, I think it was at wallet 5996, I think it is. And we've got some of these others, Aave also in the mix there, Balancer, many of these other ones, Lido, all in the mix, right? Compound. So these are pretty interesting. Now, the only one that really kind of looks really good is the Wrap Bitcoin, in my opinion, particularly if the Atropa dev picks it up there. So that could be a little bit of a Blue's Clues of where value might be able to be captured there, and so on. So pretty crazy house. So pretty crazy. Now, how are the stable coins holding up at the moment on Pulsechain? These are the ones here, right? So we're looking for PUSD ALGO, and the link to the video description is in the video description for 90% bonus if you want to get in on that, because I think it's going to be very much needed, especially as PDai is unlikely to get to $1, right? Because of all the things we're going to tell you in a minute. So let's jump away. So this is some of the token activity on the chain, just to give you an overview of that. Now, this is the MakerDAO stats, right? So the MakerDAO, and we can see at the moment the debt ceiling is 26.1 billion DAI there as well. And we've got total DAI 26.1. So that's definitely gone up with the ceiling. So some activities happening there and so on. So there's a little bit of movement there. And apparently some of the activities that we're seeing every hour have apparently stopped on the old Maker contract. Looking over at pulsemaker.win, we can see that that's also confirming our total PDai and debt ceiling as well at 26.1 billion DAI there too. So it's definitely gone up there. Now we're going to get into some of the insights moving forward and talk about that. So earlier today we had Mike Angelo here post analysis of what's happening with PDai minting from the XUSD development team, and of course they provided this background. So we're going to read that. So of course everyone is allowed to have their own opinion, and there are plenty of opinions out there on this drama, and even more so have to do their own research. However, in our investigation certainly aligns with what some have of the more known Pulsechain faces found about the whole situation. The wallets associated with minting and dumping PDai have done a bunch of moves within the Maker protocol. All the wallets RH posted in the spreadsheet connect to each other via internal market vault moves. Prior to the minting and bridging, the 5996 wallet, the 9 Iron Capital pointed out in his X tweet, has loaded the market vault with hundreds of millions of DAI, and of course you can see the references there. Here, the Maker documentation that explains what those functions do. The minting from the Maker vault does not equate to what people considered regular minting, aka inflation of supply. It is exiting your vault position. That's how the VAT works, and we looked at that yesterday's live stream. Works within Maker. Those positions can get liquidated if the debt compared to what you put as collateral becomes too big. So the debt's bigger than your collateral. They can get liquidated. Now, what was done certainly resulted in funds being drained from the chain and prices tanking. The collateral for it was placed in a PDai tokens, sits in the Maker vault on Pulsechain, and also it is not counted into TVL of the chain. It will either get liquidated or paid back. Liquidation would immediately burn the PDai debt, causing an instant huge arbitrage chunk and pump in PDai. If it gets paid back and released from the vault, it will certainly increase funds and TVL of the chain. Now, while we don't rely on speculations, this is just pure Maker protocol technology, and it's a very important. That's kind of the key takeout there. Even if the user put in his own money into the Maker vault without any underlying reason, they have the right to do whatever they want with their money, just like all of us. It does not mean that PDai is hacked or exploitable, and we have decided to keep PDai and TropaPS for both staking and trading rewards. However, until the situation stabilizes, it will receive reduced rewards for the time being. Take this as an explanation, not as advice. It is not, and of course, it is just pure mathematical blockchain analysis. So that was from the XUSD net team, and so that got responded to by Alex McFurter, the founder, of course, of it's got a brain freeze now. The founder of now what the heck? Let me just go back to this other one. Brain freeze there. So the founder of Hedron and Okoza. That's it. Thank you very much. Hedron and Okoza. There we go. And of course, he says the part you are missing. Internally, there are a handful of oracles, and this is the key point. And this was made months and months ago about these protocols. There are a handful of oracles in the forked Maker system that are reporting incorrect prices. So how could it possibly get set up? That's kind of the argument there, and work properly. Any easy one to point out is that the USDC oracle, which always assumes 1 PDai equals 1 PUSDC, and PUSDC is the value of CDP asset. But let's do Pulse. Some of the forked DEX oracles properly report the current PLS price. Some don't, and many other centralized ones report price of 1 Pulse equals 2,300 PDai. The Maker Oracle system uses a medium of the Oracle price feeds, manipulating a few of them of these price feeds from the forked dexes, which no one puts LP on, so that the medium is a very high number, is not that difficult, so easy to manipulate these prices. So now assume you can make PDai think internally that 1 Pulse equals 2,300 or so PDai by doing a few forked DEX manipulations and plus Chainlink and others that will enforce that fact. The PLS collateral required so effectively to zero, and so you can get a large amount of PDai. Now flip those low LP dexes and poke oracles till medium reports a more accurate number, reprice the auction, and paid way less DAI to liquidate it than you got out of the deposit. This is how you inflate above the debt ceiling, and of course we show the debt ceiling at the moment over here on Maker at 26.1 billion. Debt ceiling and in the next you are not over and over. I'm not sure what that actually says there, but over and over, as long as you can flip the Maker system state between thinking Pulse is very expensive and very cheap, especially how 5996 wallet, this is the key wallet, right, that's been doing these activities, and of course the exploit is doing it in the same transaction using flash loans, you can arb LP out of pools until the debt ceiling in the cheapest case is hit. So that was a response there from Alex McFerder on that update there from the team, and that was pretty insightful. Then he followed up as well with this. Some questions I get asked. So why isn't it at zero? You can't mint that much in one transaction. It's a back and forth slow game. Can it be fixed? At this point, you probably need the admin keys to do it. Some pieces are DAO controlled, some are not. And of course, we saw the team trying to, the public there, the PDai Maxis trying to set up a Pulse Maker DAO here on this public side, right? And that seemed a bit odd to me as well. Not the intention, but the actual that even if it was Richard behind all this, that it would actually be used. So ESS, which currently isn't really possible within the market supply of PMaker, but maybe eventually it will be. Number 4, why isn't it just PDai dumping? Because a bunch of people thought it would be a good idea to liquidity bond a good number of somewhat successful meme tokens, like, of course, Teddy Bear and Atropa to PDai, and to also burn the LP token so LP can never be pulled. Those tokens also appear to cause Pulse, PulseX, etc., and bring them down with it. Hart's law works up and down. So this is the calamity of the situation. This is the drama that if you've got someone minting or cycling through the Maker protocol out through all these linked liquidity pools and then bridging stuff out, that is horrendous, right? So the money could be somewhere between $4 and $8 million. This could have been going on for at least up to 2 years. So this is kind of the drama here that we're talking about. So, well, maybe just over a year at least in any case. So this is the drama. And of course, that weakens the whole system, right? The whole system there. Because not only do we have this sort of compromise, you also have bots operating. And remember, Dipcatcher did some very good analysis on the fact that bots by themselves were draining funds out of the Pulsechain through, acceptable but botted activity, right? So we saw a lot of the transactions were actually from trading bots there. So that is kind of where we are at the moment on that. So that was some pretty insightful stuff. And then along came, you thought that was enough, along came Richard Hart. And I got a cool quote here from Richard Hart here. This is his quote was the 2nd of November, 2023. It says, "I care about you guys and you're on my mind every single day." How about that? I thought that was pretty nice. And I had to comment on that, right? So that's from Richard Hart. And then, of course, following that sentiment, Richard Hart posted out a couple of good posts here. And, of course, are these videos of the PDai exporter free minting. And, of course, this is the so-called Vietnamese hacker. And, of course, you can see that on PumpTires, see his face everywhere. And nuking PDai buyers. How long until others figure out how to inflate for free instead of buying? Or does he have some magic keys? How long will people keep buying into a bugged, hyperinflating coin? Question mark. And, of course, stop buying PDai? Question mark. Now, this is as close as a statement. As I described in the Discord, this is like a statement disguised as a question, an open question at that. So this is kind of the messaging we're getting there. And you can see the video here. So let's watch this. This is apparently the PDai Maker 5996, the Vietnamese guy posting this video. This was posted some time back there. I'm not sure if we've got the date on here, but this is the one here. So we'll watch this video. So he's got the PDai selling into Pulse here, about $4,700. He's got his little software set up here, Legacy, on the Legacy app. Waiting for that to process. And it does indeed show a foreign language there, and it's probably Vietnamese. So it does seem to add up to the Vietnamese. And there's the trade. Easy money, right? Easy money. So there we go. So good that he can post it on the stream there. Now we've got a bit more data here as well. So got some more feeds on this from the same chap. Posting a lot of transactions that they've obviously been doing and pushing over the bridge. That's the Pulsechain bridge. And if we pause some of that, you can see some of the numbers here: 55,000, 15,000 DAI, 64,000 DAI, etc. So there's a lot of capital, 83,000. And this is all the way from 2024. Looks like August, all those 24, all the way through October, and so on. So pretty crazy to think about that. So we've got some other ones here. 2024 there. What's that? Not quite sure the date there, but yeah, I'm not sure what the Vietnamese language means there, but that is where we are. And then we've got all the way up here, so 83K, 160K, and this is all in 2024. So pretty horrific, right? So there we are. You get to see the exploiter in action. So a lot of time when people do exploits, they like to show their work so that because they're kind of narcissists, sociopaths, so they like to show their work, and they like people to be annoyed. So there we go. All right, so that is another video, and then we got another, obviously back to the first video there as well. So 450,000 DAI, contact address there. We've got a method, non-payable, create, take, etc. on that. So that is from Richard, and then he posted after that. He says, it's like if you have a spreadsheet and live video and on-chain records of getting max extracted, it's like, man, what else could you possibly want? Evidence-wise, the founder of a whole chain to comment, like what else? In other words, Richard's gone as far as he can talk about saying a statement without saying a statement. So basically, stop buying PDai is the message there. All right, so that was from Richard. And then we got some post here from Devizon, which we covered yesterday. And of course, he goes, this video from January the 25th, before the exploit even started. This is literally orchestrated a lol. So there we go. And we also talked about Crypto Scout's comment as well yesterday. I'm not sure if he's got an update here. But yeah, he just reposted that. So pretty crazy. So there we go. And then, of course, Moon King, one of the big influencers in the space, obviously a big proponent of PDai, Teddy Bear, and has done pretty well out of that. Has posted a number of posts here in the last wee hours after Richard Hart's posting. Now, even 8 hours ago, he said, "I'm the Moon King, the pivot master," and now he's moved on to PDGC, right? So we talked about potentially moving on to some of these other tokens that Richard Hart's dominating, like PumpTires, and we can also see that these are the ones dominating now. So the Richard Hart derived platform is PumpTires. And of course, his tokens as well will have their day in the sun. At the moment, they are currently down at the moment, but that's probably to do with the exploit rather than the quality of the tokens. So at the moment, the amount of funds that are still going through the DAI, we've still got 285K in liquidity pool here. So how much DAI is actually in there? We've still got eDAI is still sitting at 141K. And we need to, obviously, with the Pulse DAI, get rid of the Pulse DAI too. Pulse DAI's got 461K. So really need to squeeze out that liquidity. Otherwise, you can sell into it and then exit through all the other link pools, right? Apart from that, if you're in other communities, like maybe a Tropa, you have to sort of decouple as much as you can from linking up with PDai, right? That's another way of cutting off the valve. So you either cut it from the source and the liquidity pool, or you cut it your linkages with all the other projects that have linked up to it. So this is probably what we're going to see happen in the next day or two. So that's going to be another exciting thing on the old Pulse chain, right? So that is pretty cool. And of course, Moon King there pivoting to PDGC now. Obviously, PDGC's had a pretty aggressive pullback, but definitely benefits from rising tides, right, with all the volume. So PDGC there probably doing pretty well. Let's go have a look at that. Actually, I think I might have it on this list. Let's go have a look and see if we can find PDGC. It might be on this list here. Let's have a look. Popular coins. Let's see it on that list. Let's have a look further down. Don't see it on that list either. I thought it might actually be on this list. Let's go over to let's go have a look at it on here. We'll type PTGC in, and of course, when one fails, people move on to another one, right? So, especially if you've got a big bag of it, or you pulled up a big bag of it, and you can promote it. That's kind of where we are. So this one's got a PDC Pulse, and it's got 1.2 million liquidity in it. So this is really up the bottom. It's had a big pullback, right, on the old PDC. And of course, this is one of the best performers on Pulsechain as well, along with PDai and Atropa, Teddy Bear. PDC was one of the top performers, and at the moment, it's got a nice little entry. So keep a lookout for that as well. So lots of potential opportunities here moving forward. And of course, this is mostly tied with Pulse, right? So that's another good project. Then we could see that Moon King has moved on there as well. Now he indicates that he still was winning out of these other projects and PDai and Teddy Bear, because 1 hour ago he says rip PDai and Teddy Bear. It was a great run, best performers on Pulsechain so far. And then he's talking about that he's still got a 6,000, 3,000 X out there. So he's not crying over salt milk there. And he's got a cool video here of him talking about Pulsechain doing well. So that's kind of cool. So that is Moon King. And of course, he also posted out apparently pretty similar about an hour ago, although I can't find the X post. So we've only got a snapshot here provided by a community member. And he's got here, Richard Hart just said, stop buying PDai. Finally, he says, I called him out on the Twitter space, and he answered. He did indeed. So he's definitely been watching Somi and Moon King, particularly with their big live streams and stuff like that. I will no longer be talking about PDai anymore. Sell if you wish to sell. I personally have not sold yet, but I will, giving a heads up there, which is kind of a weird thing to do, right? Giving the market a heads up, especially when you're such a big influencer. You can make of that what you will. I personally have not sold yet, but I will, giving a heads up. There is speculation that people will be working on it, but RH finally gave the final message. In my opinion, the narrative is officially dead. I am going to do some errands for a bit. Reread this for a few times if you want to get the hint. This is why we pivot and follow the laws of meme coins. None of this financial advice, of course, he says. Now, the one thing is we know that with an exploit and a draining the Pulsechain, that's a problem over time, right? So anytime that people are buying up that exploited asset, and especially when it's still got problems with Oracle pricing, as we just talked about with Alec McFerder, will it actually ever be able to be a stable coin? And that's why I have always gone with PUSD ALGO. And so you can check that out on the channel. Check it out, PUSD ALGO, type it in, check out the video there. That's going to be from Jacob, the world's best peer-to-peer dev. And of course, that's going to be a full DeFi solution to a stable coin, which will be pegged at $1. If you haven't seen my live stream earlier today, check that out because I did a full presentation of PUSD ALGO. And if you want to participate in that, it is a contribution phase. Get in there, 90% bonus in the link below. So check that out. All right, so that is Moon King there. So not too bad, not too bad. Let's jump over to your friend Somi, of course. He is probably the last man standing at the moment. This is dynamic environment. People can switch around quite a lot, right? So just take that into account there. Now, so 1 hour ago, and let's see how far we're going to go back here. Maybe an hour. He's been posting a lot in the last hour. Obviously, he's been on a live stream as well, apparently. Pretty crazy. He posted that one there too, which I got that from somewhere else, but he's posted that B-Roots capitulates. Then he's got, imagine the smell of my videos when PDai is back above 1 cent. So obviously he's backing the chance of it going up. But remember, this is a compromised protocol. So you're really just handing money, even if you pump the chart, you're handing money over to the exploiter, right? So not generally pretty good. Also weakening the Pulsechain, right? That's the logic there. Now, Richard Hart's shaking PDai today, and of course he's still going for it, right? So he's got Vietnamese FUD on there, Richard Hart FUD, Maria FUD. So he's got all the different players on the field there on the chart, and still expecting that to do one. Now, obviously, he's a pretty big influencer. He can probably move tokens to a degree, but we will see how that plays out. Obviously, we wish him the best in his financial portfolio, but once again, the contract is exploited, so not a good look there in terms of draining funds out of the protocol. Now, 1 hour there, PDai, Maria FUD, Richard Hart FUD, he posted that out, so it's kind of nice there. But I think this is the funny meme of the day there. If Richard Hart really wants to shake me out of PDai, he's going to have to tell us that Jim Cramer is bullish on it, and that was pretty funny. We had a good laugh about that in Discord, which is pretty funny there. All right, so what else we got there from Somi? Let's have a look. Hour ago, Hex Maxis be like Richard Hart is a genius. Also, Hex Maxis be like Richard got outsmarted by Vietnamese kid on this chain. Which one is it? Now, that second comment, of course, is not really valid. But hey, it causes a lot of fuss, gets a lot of engagement. Which one is that? Maybe you got outsmarted by Richard. I won't get shaken out of PDai. So he is the last man standing from the looks of it, out of the big influencers that have been supporting PDai. And then 57 minutes ago, the Vietnamese kid FUD for PDai has one clue to let you know that you've been shaken out. The date was recorded in January, almost like it was orchestrated. So that's the argument there, right? Trying to pull up a narrative about all this FUDing you out. They loaded the Maria FUD, Richard Hart FUD, and Vietnamese kid FUD, who's left standing. And of course, their hope, of course, is that actually the 5996 address will actually help make the contract get all supported, probably, and that they can keep pushing it up. But of course, that's a lot of high risk. That's a very high risk game, and this seems very unlikely there. But hey, look, if you can maintain a market price, anything's possible, right? Any token can be pushed up by an influencer or community that still won't let go. So it's still possible there, and the exploiter just can either love that as well. Like I say, fundamentally, there's still a big problem with the oracles. So even if you can get, the flop auction, which we were expecting to activate with the loan deficit being repaid, you still got a lot of problems there. So here he goes. PDai is 1,000x to $1 from here. I'm speculating Richard Hart is an operator of PDai. If I'm wrong, I lose it all. If I'm wrong, it's 1,000x. If can't shake me out there. So holding out there for a hero, as it were, holding out for a hero. So we've got two different views here. We've got Moon King on one side, accepting that Richard's basically said it's getting compromised and he's not going to be activating it. And then we've got Somi still thinking that Richard Hart is a player here and that it will come to market, right? So, but we've also already seen a lot of PDai from the OA sell back down into the Pulsechain, and of course trying to drain some of that liquidity out of the pool for the PDai. So interesting times ahead, right? Interesting times. So pretty crazy. That is where we are. We've got a couple of comments in the chat there. We got droning on again and again. Says, yeah, it was a bit like that with the PDai, buying more PDai, he says. So there we go. There's a PDai diehard there. And of course, I wish you the best of luck. Of course, we want people to do well. So regardless of the outcome, I wish you luck there. Certainly, as long as it doesn't lose a 0 or 2 zeros, you're in the sweet spot. And if it holds up there, that'd be pretty good. So let's go back here. I think we've still got PDai in here somewhere. So let's go back there. The liquidity is still looking okay. And of course, if you're wanting to deal with that, you want to get rid of it. So what we've managed to do is we've actually had a bounce back here on the hourly. So we've got a green candle at the moment. So it's bounced off 00098. It's now back at 1/1400th of a penny. So the diehards are still in the game. Let's see whether it can actually build another bull pattern up to 3/10 of a penny. Or will it run out of steam? That's the question, right? So we shall see. We should see. I guess Somi's streaming 24/7, so who knows? Anything's possible in crypto. We got a couple of comments there as well. That was on. Let me go to Rumble. Big shout out to people over on Rumble there. See quite a few people watching as well, so big shout out to you over there. Don't forget to smash the follow button over on Rumble, smash the like, and leave the comments as well. Share it around too on the Rumble community, as we just got over there on Saturday, started the stream, so we're just brand new and it's growing quite nicely over on Rumble, so big shout out over there. And of course over here on YouTube, big shout out to everybody as well, streaming to 3 YouTube channels, of course the Kryptonite Show, Superman Crypto, and Pulsechain X. So about 11,000 subscribers, so big shout out to everybody and appreciate your support. And I hope you guys are enjoying this PDai drama. It's pretty interesting. So smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and smash the bell as well. And welcome to PDai madness, as it were. So there will be winners and losers on the way. There's no doubt about that. But will Pulsechain itself keep losing from any drainage out of the system? We know at least $4 million has gone out of the system, and possibly up to $8 million. So let's see where this all heads at the moment. And someone in Vietnam apparently is very happy about all of this. So there we go. Just goes to show a bit of coding and a bit of nonce. You can go through some contracts, and who knows what you can find advantage of, right? So that is kind of where we are at the moment. So pretty cool. How we've been doing for time with 3 minutes, not too bad. And this is the latest on the moment. So actually a little bit of a green candle last hour. Let's see whether it can do it. This rally here really is the Somi rally, in my opinion. And of course, then it got sold off again. Will we get another rally? We shall see. Because obviously people consider 1/10 of a penny a bit of a opportunity zone, and we definitely see that in the chart, right? So people are taking that opportunity. But when eventually, if it collapses, then all hell will break loose, right? All hell will break loose if it does collapse. So let's have a look at the daily and check that out. Actually, I might go to the weekly. Let's go to the weekly, shall we? Let's go to the weekly. And we can see the weekly chart there. Pretty crazy. Let's go full screen and let's auto this as well. Bam. That's the weekly chart there. And what a brutal week it is. What a brutal week it is. So we can see that we had this green candle. We peaked out, right? We got up to 3.3 cents, which is pretty crazy. Funny enough, that's a similar price to PUSD at the moment on the test version. And here we are at 1,400 of a penny. All the way down we've been to the bottom is 00062. So it's been a pretty brutal week so far. And the volume at the moment, $8 million. Can you believe it? $8 million. Previous week, we did 3.78. We haven't even finished this week, and we're already up at 8 million. The lowest week we had was back here on January, and we had $1.1 million of volume there. Pretty crazy, right? The best week we had was the big pump here at the top of the market. We had $9.2 million in volume and went to 3.3 cents. So pretty crazy stuff there as well. Market cap, let's quickly look at that. As you guys know, it's pretty much lost over $700 million in market cap. And that's a serious indication that this is really a dead coin. If you can't, obviously people see that as an opportunity to the upside. But if you can't resurrect it, if there is an exploiter like we've shown evidence for, and Richard Hart said, stop buying it, then you're really pushing up against the probability there. But hey, look, Somi's a pretty big influencer. Let's see what he can garner there. All right, so kind of cool. But of course, Richard here, and we've seen Moon King pivot to PDDC token. We've obviously got Teddy Bear as well. Let's go have a look at Teddy Bear again. Let's have a look at Teddy Bear. And I really like Teddy Bear. I think it's a great meme coin. And so it's got great artwork. And so I haven't been surprised that it's done well. And of course, it's one of the Tropa Dev James Maria's coins. And we can see Teddy Bear here down still quite a bit. But Teddy Bear actually might recover, right? So if James Maria pivots this and tries to buy Wrap Bitcoin, for example, which is probably the best one out of all those forks that we looked at before, then you could actually start to resurrect the old Teddy Bear, right? See, I do see Teddy Bear as being resurrectable as long as you start trading a lot of the pairs out. We can already see that a lot of the pairs, Wrap Bitcoin pair here, already 140K. So you could lift that pairing, right? And as long as the Wrap Bitcoin is not tied to PDai, then you're doing pretty well. And then you got Wrap Pulse, Tropa, and so forth. So we've still got this DAI pair as well. So let's see how that gets on. So we may see some cool stuff there. Now, obviously, it's dramatically bouncing around the old Teddy Bear. So let's have a look at one of the pools. We got all the way down here. Let me just move the price back again. We're on the weekly too, so I'll go back to daily. And we are busted down. So we actually broke 44,000. We went to 803,000 on Teddy Bear, and now we're at 804,600. So it did actually have a little bounce back. Let's look at the hourly so we can see that. And you can see that we actually that was only an hour ago, we actually got the low, and we've actually bounced out back pretty aggressive on Teddy Bear. And Teddy Bear is actually on our watch list. So even though it's Carnage and PDai, and a Tropa to this degree, we know that James Maria is doing some stuff there. Apparently, he's got about $2 million or something. So if he does get that Wrap Bitcoin and moves the pairing away from PDai, then it's all back on, right? All back on. And picking up a Teddy Bear could be a pretty good play, as well as Wrap Bitcoin potentially. So there is always opportunity as devs, owners repivot, right? So it looks like Teddy Bear possibly got to not, find the bottom there. And also PGC as well, with Moon King pivoting there. So some opportunities. And obviously, we know Richard Hart is backing his coins, even though they're down today. They'll probably rebound pretty strongly after absorbing the exploit news there. Of course, fear comes into the market, right? How much more money is going to be drained. But if you can drain out the PDI pool, which is not draining out at the moment to sufficient levels, then you can really deal with that. And of course, if you can get the founders of Tropa and other protocols depegging from, delinking or decoupling from PDI, then you can start protect the whole Pulsechain system. That can happen pretty quickly as well. So expect a lot of changes on the Pulsechain. It's going to be in for quite the ride as well. Now, the other thing I want to look at is the bridge, right? So how much more money is going over the bridge? Well, we've still got 94.6 million, so it's holding pretty strong. So pretty happy about that. And let's go. I think we have down the bottom here, we have the amount of bridged out. So $1.5 million so far bridged out to Ethereum. And it does appear that most of that is Pulse and Pulsechain there. Not sure if that's the net amount actually bridged out to Ethereum. So it's about 1.7%. And then we've got Pulsechain and Hex there. So not too bad, not too bad. Now, that also makes, when you've got these kind of stable coins, it makes native stable coins so much more important, right? Because obviously they add a lot of value. You can collateralize a lot of the tokens and set up, more lending. It does support the system. We've got USDL, PXDC, HexDC, the three liquidity forks. And we've also got Coast, right? And if you add those all up, that's about $16.5 million. About $16.5 million in stables. But what we want to do is get PUSD ALGO, right? And that's coming soon. So PUSD ALGO is going to be the first algorithmic stablecoin. So this one here, Coast is backed by fiat dollars. These three liquidity forks are backed by collateral. In other words, PulseX, and Hex. And then PUSD ALGO is going to be separate all again. It's going to be backed with ALGO. So ALGO's, well, it's not going to be backed with ALGO. It's going to be backed on the back of USDL, which is the liquidity fork. But it's going to have ALGO being the entry token there. And of course, PUSD will be separated out because it's going to be pegged by liquidity miner bots, right? So people provide liquidity into miner bots. Those miner bots keep the PUSD pegged, and they peg that back on the back of USDL, which is already collateral back. So you can sort of see it's got double levels of security there. Pretty genius idea. And of course, we've seen on testnet, as you saw, operated for, I don't know, what, 6 to 8 weeks or something, and it worked like a dream, right? Very close to peg all the time. And of course, you can see with some of these, they can slightly depeg, sometimes very aggressively depeg. PXDC at the moment, 99.4, HexDC at 99.7. USDL happens to be at $1 at the moment, so it's pretty solid. And Coast there, slightly low peg as well, 99.3 cents. But PUSD is likely to stay around $1 pretty much all the time, and that's going to be of some value to the market there. Could see a lot of protocols there peering up their projects to PUSD, and also we could see a lot of value created in terms of PUSD be issued based on algo printing, right? You get algo, you buy algo, and then you print your PUSD stablecoin. So very different system. And what is the benefit of that? Scalability, right? Scalability. So that is where the secret sauce comes in, right? A bit like Terra Luna, but without all the problems done in a full DeFi approach. And of course, it worked on testnet so far with about 45 bots running. So some really big opportunity there. Like I say, really been encouraging PUSD Algo. And of course, it's by the world's best peer-to-peer dev, Jacob. And of course, he's just hired, this is the breaking news we got yesterday, just hired a full team to develop a PUSD to what we call 2.0. And of course, we've got the Signum Oracle about to launch. And therefore, once the Oracle launches, PUSD Algo will get updated plans for that. We've got a team now building up the next version. So the basic model works, just doing a lot of the front end, making it look fancy and other stuff. And then, of course, that will be coming down the line pretty quick too. And I cannot say with this PDai drama that it's PUSD cannot come soon enough, right? And that's going to be a lot of excitement there. So you still have the opportunity to get in early. Just be patient, of course, once you put your contribution in. But the link is in the video description, and that's a 19% bonus by using that link. And if you do over $1,000 inclusive of the referral bonus, you will get a bonus X, which is up to 2 times your contribution. So that could be pretty major. Now, I do know some things behind the scenes that are pretty bullish, but I can't say. And I'm looking forward to that coming out to the market at some stage as well. So keep excited. I've got videos on this channel, of course, from over a year ago. And of course, once we get that Signum Oracle, it will be enabled, and we're looking forward to it as well. It's going to be pretty awesome. Brendan says, I think Bretep has made a response now. So let's go check out Bretep. Let's go look for Bretep here, and we're going to go to Richard actually and check out Bretep. I actually looked at Bretep earlier before the live stream, actually. So funny you bring that name up. So Bretep is a Pulsechain dev and pretty much all-around good guy. So he goes here. The truth is, it doesn't matter what anybody says about a protocol. People always read into the message and try to twist its meaning into any way possible. It's best to use common sense and math when making any life decision. Well, I appreciate this comment. I think it's great, but it's also a little bit vague as well at the same time. I'm a big fan of Bretep's, and like I say, it's trying to clarify, but also is a little bit ambiguous. So it's just the way it goes. But I think I get what he's saying there. So there we go. Funniest thing I've heard a long time. What is this? Can you roll back the chain? Can you roll the chain back? Says a noob there. This is the funniest thing I've heard for a long time. If this is a serious question, then the serious answer is emphatically no. Of course, one would need to convince a super majority of decentralized validators to do so. Pulsechain isn't a decentralized L2 or a fake L1. The blockchain is literally secured by the community. The other problem with it as well is that the money's already gone, right? A lot of money's already gone, and I don't think without dealing, tinkering with the actual contract, I don't see how they would really do that unless they did it in the Genesis block. So yeah, that'd be quite a bit of tampering. I'm not sure. I guess they could do it. I mean, anything's probably possible. But yeah, pretty crazy. I agree too. Lol says Brennan. Yeah. So big fan of Bretep, but yeah, it kind of helped and didn't help at the same time. It goes up, downwards, and sideways. Says Wookie. The market certainly does do that. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? All right, so that was pretty cool. Thanks for bringing that to attention. A big shout out to Bretep out there, doing a great job. Of course, probably still doing stuff around the chain there. Haven't looked at the GitHub or whatever lately, but I'm sure he's working hard. So that's pretty cool. Let's jump around. I think where else do we go? We go back to Richard Hart. He's got any more? Sometimes they sort of sneak out little updates. No, that's 2 hours old, so kind of cool. No doubt Somni is pumping them out though. So let's do another refresh of Somni as well. And scroll down there 1 minute ago. There we go. Breaking. Pulsechain dev Bretep has commented on Pulsechain and potentially the Vietnamese kid FUD. It doesn't matter what anybody says about a protocol. It's best to use common sense and math when making life decisions. So straight on to that one. 15 minutes ago, imagine you built a house and then didn't notice somebody has been stealing from your fridge for 3 years. It's a bit like that, isn't it? That's what Richard Hart thinks of you non-believers. The Vietnamese kid FUD is round 3 of the shakeout. PDai is destined for greatness, and Pulsechain is the best chain in crypto. So there we go, holding on to the end there. And of course, it's appetizing, right? Because the PDai is down at 1/10 of a penny. Obviously, got a little rally at the moment, but you can see the enticement there. So we shall see. He also said 22 minutes. I reason to believe Somni is part of the PDai team, and this is a theory that's been going out. And Somni might be surprised how many people are holding on to this. And of course, this is from James Maria, the Tropa dev. I have reason to believe Somni is part of the DAI team. So there we go. Now I don't see him as part of the DAI team, but definitely he's a big influencer. So he's got a lot of and got stake in it. So we shall see. More PDai he says after Richard Hart said not to buy it. So he's pretty much the ambassador of Quan, as one might say, the ambassador of Quan, which was a great movie. So we got Somni there as the ambassador of PDai. As it were. So crazy stuff there. Now, I haven't looked at some of the ladies of crypto, like have Exavita and KDP. I'm sure KDP's been having fun with that because obviously KDP wouldn't be in for a lot of these PDai theories. 1 year ago, Richard Hart tweeted this about Hex from Ethereum, and it turns out it was a buy signal. EHEX recovered against Pulse. Believe in something. That's from him. There you go. So lots of cool stuff there. Coming up from him, lots of comedy as well. All right, so that is where we are there. Teddy Bear at the moment is bouncing back, actually, a little bit there from 3,000. It could have gone down very low, though, because there's a long way down to the beginning. But so far, it has seemed to have bounced there. So we'll see what happens to Teddy Bear. Worthy of keeping on your watch list, though. PDC as well, 3,000. Worthy of keeping on your watch list there, too. Pretty good zone, actually. And, yeah, we've got PDai as well, right? So PDai is also out there amongst the ether. So let's go back to PDai quickly, and we're going to wrap this up shortly. And we got PDai at the moment down 25%, and let's see where the price is at 1.5. Was it 1,500 for a penny? So it's made a bit of a fight back here, and I guess every 15 minutes of Somni's posting, we might get a little bit higher here as we move forward as well. Now I'm sure it's not just Somni there, but there's a lot of fans out there as well. Brendan says Somni is too funny, man, says Brendan. He does indeed. Mixes in a comedy amongst the pumpings. That is pretty much it. So we've kind of covered it all. We can see that the debt ceiling's gone up. What's that, 26.13? I said just know the total DAI has actually slipped below 26.1. So that's pretty interesting that it's gone down. Yeah, that is where we are. So I think we're going to wrap up there because I think I've said everything I possibly could say. And I think we've covered everything. Brendan, have we covered everything? Let me know in the chat. I think we've kind of done that. That is the chart on PDai. So let's see where the zigzag of PDai goes, right? Because I'm going to zoom this out. Let's go to 4 hourly chart just quickly. And that is the 40. It still looks pretty bad on the 4 hourly. It still looks pretty bad. So we shall see where this all goes. That's all we're going to say. Now we've got someone's comment in there. I'm just trying to get to that. So we've got Marco says, my Tropa is wrecked, says Marco. Like I say, it does seem that James Maria is going to try and resurrect the Tropa. And of course, he's got that money to do so and decouple it from PDai. I think Tropa is probably going to have another day in the sun there. Question marks from TexX. Up to date so far, says Brent. Oh, that's very good. So I think we can wrap up the show. I hope you guys enjoy. We've got the more people watching than ever now. We've got more people watching than ever. So big shout out to over on Rumble. For all the people watching over there, don't forget to smash that follow button. Just easy to do. Obviously, I cover crypto 1 or 2 times a day, apparently, and also do variety shows. So I cover politics, economics, and sort of stuff like that. This is the new brand, of course, for the Crypto Night Show, and enjoying it so far. Now, if you guys haven't checked out my video I did on Trump's ultimate strategy, the master plan. Check that out, the 3-stall strategy, I've called it. And that's going to be huge insights if you want to understand what Trump is doing. I don't think there's anyone's done a rollout of Trump's strategy on the internet at all. If you check out my presentation, it's mind-blowing, the insights in that video. So check that out if you wondering what the heck Trump is going to be doing over the next 4 years, because it's going to be pretty amazing. I've got a bit of a Superman calic here at the moment, which is kind of cool, although I'm missing my name in the show up there. I'm not sure why that's disappeared, actually. But maybe it's because I've changed some stuff. I don't know. When you're mucking around with the studio, it does do all sorts of weird things. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and take care out there at the moment. Green candles, 1/1500th of a penny, and we'll be back on again tomorrow for another show. How about that? And otherwise, I'll see you in Discord. Until then, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell. Discord links in the video description. Join up today, become part of our private Discord. 1,100 members. We'd be happy to have you join in as well. And we also have a strategy club and a crypto course, so you can check those out as well. All right. Until then, take care, everybody, and I will catch you on the other end of the PDai drama and onwards to Valhalla, or AKA Richard Hart coins, and some of the other ones we've talked about. All right. Peace out, everybody. Take care. Have a good weekend. Bye for now.